It's a great day to crochet.
Hi everyone, it's Rochelle. Welcome to the WIP window. Today I want to show you some finished objects and then also some WIPs that I'm working on. As you can see behind me, I have made an adult bunny soft blanket, and I had ordered some yarn in the blue salmon cream, I think it is, or white, and I had made a baby blanket with a moss stitch and I loved it. So that's why I wanted to make an adult baby soft blanket. So what I did, got on the iSharn's website, and I, of course, always try to get the most for the money as far as when it comes to shipping. They have gone up in their shipping, so I usually get 5 to 6 packs for $20 shipping, but this time it was $25 shipping. But that's okay. I still think a lot of their yarns are unusual. You can't find them anywhere, and so I think it's a good deal because you can get some really great yarn at great prices. And if you think about it, if you live far away from Joann's or Michael's or wherever, and you have to drive a ways, it costs money to get there and gasoline and your time and everything. So I think coming from Turkey, you get it in just a few days where I live anyway. And so it's good for me. I think it's a great deal. But anyway, back to the blanket. So I got online, I ordered 2 packs of the gray and 1 pack of the cream, and I wanted to make the striped blanket. And so what I did is I got my paper out and I was planning how I wanted to make the stripes because I didn't want it just to be big chunks. I wanted the stripes to be different. And when you're planning out a striped blanket, it's kind of like anything goes. You make it how you want it. It can be symmetrical. It can, be consistent with the width of your stripes, however you want to do it. So I also wanted to have enough to go around the edge at the end. Excuse me, so I had to plan that out too. But anyway, basically I started at the end and I crocheted the moss stitch, and I did 2 balls of the yarn, and after I had done one full ball, I counted my rows, and so I kind of knew how many rows I could have out of 1 ball of yarn. And so I used 2 balls, and then when I got down to the thin stripes, what I did is, and see, it's not really consistent. This cream stripe is a little bit thinner than this one, but that's okay. I just crochet what I thought would be half of a ball, and then half of the gray, and then the other half of the cream, even though it didn't come out the exact same rows, that's okay. I did the other half of the gray. And then I did a full ball of the cream. This one down here, this is 3 balls of gray. This is 2 balls of gray. This is 1 ball of the cream. Then I did the half and half, and then I did 3 more balls of the gray, and I did a half and half skein, a half and half ball here. I did 1 ball of the cream and then 2 balls of the gray. And then I had plenty left over to go around the border, and since it's a moss stitch, I wanted to kind of just do a very simple border also because the yarn itself is fluffy, and I wanted to really just make it a basic plain shaped blanket to highlight the fuzziness and just make it kind of a simple classic blanket. So when I got to the border, I went around with a single crochet all the way around in the cream. One of the tips that I would say is when you're chaining and when you're doing borders, go down a hook size. And so I believe I was crocheting the moss stitch with a K hook, and I did my initial chain and my border with a J hook. And when you're doing your borders, you do not want them to be ripply. If they're a little bit tighter than what your stitch is, that's okay. It's going to stretch out a little bit and it will not be ripply. And that's what I did, and it turned out perfectly. So once again, I did the J hook for the initial chain and the border, and a K hook for the moss stitch in the middle on the stripes. After I did the single crochet around the edge in the cream, then I did 2 rows of a double crochet in the gray, and then I finished it off with 1 row of the single crochet around the outside. Now, I had some cream left over and I made some swatches because I know I'm going to have to wash this someday. So I wanted to test that out and see what the best way to launder this blanket. And so right now I have one of my swatches in the dryer on low heat with some of my whites. Not towels, just some regular, t-shirts, socks, underwear, things like that. Something that won't have a lot of friction in the dryer. So I'm drying it on low heat, and when that's done, I'll let you know how it went. And then we'll go from there. All right, so I just went and got my swatch of my Bunny Soft out of the dryer. I had it in there with some whites. It was on low heat. The whites in there were dry, but this was wet. I had kind of hand washed a little bit, squeezed it out, had scrunched it in a towel to get as much moisture out as I could. And I want you to look at it for all of you out there that have Bunny Soft items. Look, it almost looks felted. I threw it in there on low heat. It's still a little damp, but yeah, it's not fluffy. Okay, the question is, will it fluff back up? So I don't know. If you sit and pick at it, is it going to fluff back up like it was? It's not. Oh, I'm glad this is just a swatch. It's just not the same. Have any of y'all had Bunny Soft yarn that you have laundered? Do you have a disaster story? Let me know. Or have you made something with it and you have a success story? I love my blanket, but I do not want it to look like this. Yeah, that doesn't look good. So that's why it's always good to do a little test swatch. Now this side is, okay, this is crazy. This side's looking kind of weird, and this side looks like it's kind of going back to normal. See, that side doesn't look bad. I wonder if it's because I had it in with clothes and other things. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I have some more yarn. That doesn't look bad at all. But it's kind of coming out as I'm picking at it. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make me another swatch. I'm going to get it wet, put some soap on it, rinse it out. I'm going to toss it in the dryer by itself. Maybe with this. I'll toss it in the dryer with this piece. And then we'll see what happens, and I'll be back. Okay, I am back with my Bunny Soft swatches. So this was my first one that I did, that I had put in the dryer with some of my clothes. Not scratchy clothes, not towels, nothing that I felt like would be abrasive, but you can see that the fluffiness is gone. It's not bad on this side. I think what happened was This got static cling or clung, I'm not sure. It was clingy onto another, I think it was a pair of like Spanx or something. And I think that's why it did kind of a felting effect on that side. This side didn't seem to be that bad. But I did another swatch in the gray. I wet it. I put it in the dryer with this piece and it did fine. So I am relieved that this Bunny Soft blanket that I made can be washed and it can be dried on low heat by itself. If you end up making one, just make sure you don't put it in the dryer with anything else. Make sure you do it on low heat and it comes out and it's still got the fluffiness. So I'm really excited. I love this blanket, and if you're interested in getting any of this yarn, and I bought all this yarn myself. I'm not affiliated with any yarn companies. When I get on here and I give you my opinion, it's my opinion. And if I don't like something, I'll tell you that I don't like it, or if it's just okay or whatever. But anyway, Bunny Soft is one of my favorite yarns, and I'm looking forward to using my blanket. All right, I wanted to show you a few of my WIPs and a few of my finished projects or finished objects, and a bag that my husband got me for Christmas. So let's start with this bag. Talk about a WIP window. How awesome is this bag? This bag says T-Moy down here. I'll put a link in the description to this bag. He got it off of Amazon. Of course, it was on my wish list. It has a zippered pouch up front for all of your hooks and items. You might not be able to see this, but there's some elastic things for you to put your hooks in, and a zipper pocket, and then just a little open pouch that you could put stuff in. It has a couple of pockets on the side. It has the sections on the inside for you to put your yarn in, and then whatever project you're working on in here. I love it. If you wanted to put your yarn through the holes to work it out of, you could. But I've loved this. It holds so much yarn. We went on a road trip with his brother and his wife, and I filled it with yarn because I knew we were going to be in the car a lot. And my sister-in-law and I, we crocheted pretty much the whole time, and we just had so much fun. So this was a great Christmas present for my husband. All right, I'm working on a temperature blanket for 2020. And if you've watched my temperature blanket, you know that I picked the Alara yarn, and I picked it in all these colors. That's kind of a mess because that's connected to my blanket. But today is what, January the 23rd, and this is what my blanket looks like so far. I'm using the box stitch, and this row right here is the day that my daughter was proposed to. So I'm putting a few fancy yarns in for special occasions. And this is a yarn that has some sparkles in it, and even some little sequins that are in with the yarn. But I'm really enjoying this block stitch, and I like the way my low temperatures just kind of peek in there. The main row is the high temperature for the day, and then the little single crochets that you can see, those are the low temperatures for the day. So you can see in here, this yellow is anything in the 70s. So for what, 2 or 3 days, we were solid 70s, and it's January, so that's the way our weather is where I live, and that's okay. We do have a few cold days, so I can wear my cowls and my scarves and my boots and all that kind of good stuff. So that is my WIP for the whole year, and I work on it each morning, check the temperature, add my rows. And so since I love to crochet in the mornings when I get up, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be something that I'm going to be able to keep up with. Also, I did a Lion brand yarn unboxing. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and I had got this dotted line yarn, and even though it's 100% acrylic, it feels really, it feels like mercerized cotton is what it feels like. And it is a thin yarn. Let's see what it is. It's a 2. It's a 2, and I really like working with the thinner yarns because they're very drapey. And I thought this would make a great scarf for spring or even summer. You know, it's just an accessory. You don't have to have scarves and cowls for warmth. I like them just as decoration too. So this yarn surprisingly ended up being striped, but I'm just doing, I don't even know what this stitch is called. It's just basically double crochets, and you do them in between. There's a chain 1 space. You don't do the double crochets in the double crochet from the row before. You do it in the space. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's very drapey, and I think it's going to make a great, it's going to be a cowl, so I'm just going to connect it together and have it be a drapey cowl. I'm going to go ahead and just keep going and see how wide it turns out. And if I don't like the width of it, I can always rip some of it out until it's the width that I want. But I really like the drapiness of it. If you've never used a thin yarn, you should try it. I do like working with worsted weight yarns for projects where I want it for warmth, like cowls and things like this. But the ones that I've made that have been with the thinner yarns, there's just something special about them. They just feel so good. So that is my dotted line yarn. Also, it does rip out really easily. Since it's 100% acrylic, it doesn't get caught on itself. So it's easy to frog. Okay, another thing I'm working on. This yarn is called Sprightly, and this is Blueprint's brand of yarn. They have quite a few different Sprightly yarns that they carry. That's their exclusive brand, and they run a lot of specials. And so this yarn, I think on their website, if you pay regular price for it, it's $8 and something. But since I get their emails, they'll run 60% off. Sometimes they'll even run 70% off, or they'll just have like a flat, this is what it costs. And I've gotten this yarn for like $2.62 before. And so I love this yarn. It is a 50-50 acrylic wool blend. It doesn't have a twist to it. I'm trying to remember, there is an ice yarn that reminds me a lot of this yarn, and I'll put it in the description below. I can't remember it right now off the top of my head. It might be rainbow, or I don't know, that might not be it. Just check the description. But there is an ice yarn that's very, very similar to this. This is 100 grams. The ball looks pretty big. It's a fluffy yarn, and it does feel really good. It's not scratchy at all, but then it's soft, but not super soft. And the wool, it smells really good. So I've made quite a few things with this yarn, and I keep buying it because I love it. This color, it is, wait just a second. Yeah, this color is called Mai Tai, and it is a 4 worsted weight yarn. There are 190 yards or 174 meters in this ball, and it says to machine wash it and dry gentle. I'm assuming dry it on low heat. Since it's not twisted, I'd almost be afraid to tumble dry it. I'm sure you could lay it flat to dry. But I have a sweater that I made in this yarn and it feels really good. Right now I'm working on a scarf. I don't know if you can see the stitch. My 2020 scarf that I'm making, or that I already did make, is the same stitch pattern as this. There's a double crochet here, and then you skip 2 stitches, and then in this same stitch you do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, so it kind of makes a shell, and then you skip 2 more stitches and do a double crochet, and then you just continue that pattern across. This pattern, when you make it, your beginning chain is a multiple of 8 plus 3. And so it's super easy to get started, since this is one of those stitches that the initial chain, you don't have a stitch in every one of your chains. I would suggest making your initial chain with a hook that is one size down, so that you don't have this big chain. You don't chain loosely. Anytime you make your chain to begin with, if you're single crocheting or double crocheting in every single stitch, you might want to go up a hook size. But if you're doing stitches where you end up skipping any of these chains, like this, you skip 2, then I would suggest going down a hook size, so that your initial bottom border is not wavy and looser seeming than the rest. So anytime you're skipping, go down a hook size to start your chain. Anytime you're not skipping, go up a hook size. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it works for me. So this right here is one ball. I'm using a J hook on this one, and I almost got all the way across the row. Well, maybe halfway through the row. So this is one ball of the Sprightly Spectrum, is what it's called, Spectrum worsted. And so I think it's going to make, I have 5 of these, so I think it's going to make a nice length of either a wide scarf, or it could be a wrap, because since it's a little bit wider. But you can see that the color changes frequently. I kind of like that it changes colors frequently, so you don't have just big blocks of stripes, and you get a lot of color all throughout your piece. So that's something I'm working on with the Sprightly Spectrum worsted yarn. Now for some finished objects, in my 2020 challenge video, I mentioned something about doing some little hats for the babies in the NICU, and I did finish. Look how cute is that? So I finished this little white hat, and it's just a plain little hat, could be for a boy or a girl. And then this is knitted. If you saw my other video, you saw the crazy double pointed needles that it took to make this. This is crocheted. I made this for a little boy. And this is basically just, I started at the crown and made the circle. I did a couple of rows of single crochet, and then I just did some double crochets, and then when I got down here, I did a couple of rows of single crochet. And I showed these to my coworker that works. She works at Texas Children's in the NICU unit, and so she said, oh, that one's probably going to have to turn up the little brim, and I think it's so cute. So some of those little bitty preemie babies are going to be so cute in these little hats while they're spending their time growing in the NICU. Then I made a little girl hat with a flower on it. It's hard to believe that there are babies born that are this tiny, but there are. So this hat, I started at the crown of it and did the same thing, made a couple of rows of single crochets, and then I started the same stitch as this with the double crochets and the shells. So you can kind of see, if you do it from the crown, this is how you're stitching it up. But then when you turn it this way, it makes a really cute scalloped border. You don't even have to put a border on it. So those are, I'm probably going to make some more of these just because they are so quick. And then I'll package them up for Gracie, that's my friend's name, my coworker that works at Texas Children's. Package them up for her to take up there to use for the babies. So that is, oh wait, no, that's not it. Now, those are my WIPs and my finished objects, but I have an order of ice yarns that I placed. Let's see, today's Thursday. Tuesday night, I placed my order Tuesday night. And so I wanted to show you what I have coming because I'm super excited. See if you can see these yarns. I don't know if that's too bright. These are my yarns that are going to be coming in. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. The first one is called Rudbeckia. And when I was first looking through, I immediately thought, that looks like it could be like a cheetah or something to go along with, you know, make a scarf or something that is an animal print, go with your animal print clothes. So this is a yarn that has that eyelash on it along with, so the eyelash yarn looks black and then the yarn that's in there looks cream and brown. That comes in a pack. That was $3.99 and there are 8 balls in there. So we'll see. I can't remember. It doesn't say anything about if it's a 50-gram ball or a 100-gram ball, but I'll be unboxing, or they put theirs in bags, so I'll be undoing that when it comes in. I had to buy some Alara black because I want to do my border for my 2020 temperature blanket in black. So I needed to order that. And then I ordered the Roma yarn in brown and blue. And I saw, I think Krista had just gotten her huge shipment in yesterday. I think I watched her video and she wasn't that impressed. It didn't seem as soft as I thought it was going to be. And so I'm like, oh, you know, it'll be okay, but I was hoping to make a baby blanket out of it. So we'll see how that actually feels when it comes in. And then I was looking in the sale, and I don't know, you know, when they put things on clearance or sale, they just call it sale winter or sale summer. And if you know their yarn, then you know, oh, that's such and such yarn. Well, I haven't kept up with, I'm still learning a lot of their yarn. Some of it I know. This, I'm not so sure. If you know what this yarn is, leave it in my comments. But this one's just called Sale Eyelash Blend, Brown, Green, Fuchsia. So basically what it is, it has the eyelash yarn on it, and then the other yarn that's in with it has the fuchsia, brown, and green, and it looks like the color change happens very often. It's like maybe every inch or half an inch. And so and then the eyelash yarn looks like a taupey color, so I thought that's a really pretty yarn. I'll try that out because it seems like all the eyelash yarns or any of them that have polymide listed are going to be really, really soft. So that's why I wanted to get that. And then I ordered the soft acrylic melange. And I wish I could remember who made their 2020 scarf or item out of that. Whoever it was, I think used possibly a gray. If I can find it, I'll put the link to her channel down in my description. Okay, so the prices. The Rudbeckia, again, I think I said the price of that's $3.99 for 8 balls. The Alera, you get 8 balls for $6.99. That wasn't on sale. That's pretty much their normal price. I don't think the Roma was on sale. If it was, it wasn't a whole lot off. That has 8 balls and it is $8.99. The Sale Eyelash has 8 balls and it was only $2.99. And then the Soft Acrylic Melange, I think it has 8 in it and that's for $2.99. So some of these yarns were really cheap, really great deal. And that was, I ordered them Tuesday night. And you know, if you know anything about Ice Yarns, is every Tuesday they have these special promotions or daily deals or whatever. So when that comes in, I'll show it to y'all on camera and then we'll see how those turn out. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna see the tracking. We'll see where it is. So it's telling me that it should be delivered Monday. That's hard to see. Monday by the end of the day on January the 27th. So I was hoping it would be in on Saturday, but I guess anytime you order, I don't know, anytime you order on a Tuesday, maybe it takes a little bit longer, or maybe because of the weekend, traveling over the weekend. Anyway, so can't wait till Monday. Can't wait to get my new yarn, and I'll have more about what's in my WIP window. So I'll see y'all next time. Bye.